Blood and Shadows. The Mafia's origins. The story of the Mafia is one shrouded in mystery and fear, a tale that begins in the dark alleys and sunlit landscapes of Sicily. Sicily, an island of beauty but also of poverty and violence. Its picturesque landscapes hide a history of struggle and hardship, where the line between survival and crime often blurred. Out of this crucible, the Mafia emerged. It was a response to the chaos, a way for some to seize control and impose their own order amidst the disorder. A secret society born in the shadows. These men operated in the dark, their meetings held in hushed tones and hidden places, away from the prying eyes of the law. They pledged loyalty, silence, and vengeance. Their bonds were forged in blood, their oaths unbreakable. To betray the Mafia was to invite certain death. These weren't romantic heroes, they were criminals. Ruthless and calculating, they used fear and violence to achieve their ends, leaving a trail of blood and broken lives in their wake. Extorting the weak, controlling territory, they imposed their will on the communities, demanding tribute and punishing those who dared to resist. Their power grew with each whispered threat, each act of brutal efficiency. Fear became their currency. They thrived on the terror they instilled, their influence spreading like a dark shadow. America beckoned, a land of opportunity, ripe for exploitation. The promise of a new life drew many, including those who saw the potential for expanding their criminal empire. With the wave of Italian immigrants, the Mafia crossed the ocean. They saw in America a fertile ground for their operations, a place where they could grow their power and influence. They brought their traditions, their codes, and their ruthlessness. The Mafia adapted to their new environment, blending in with the immigrant communities while maintaining their secretive and violent ways. A new chapter was about to be written in blood. The Mafia's story in America was just beginning, a tale of power, corruption, and violence that would leave an indelible mark on history. The Butcher of Brooklyn, rise of a ruthless capo, Al Capone, a name synonymous with violence and corruption. He rose through the ranks of Chicago's underworld with a chilling ruthlessness. His eyes, they said, held a chilling emptiness. Capone understood power. He built his empire on fear and intimidation. Rival gangs were eliminated with brutal efficiency. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre, a testament to his savagery. Politicians and police were on his payroll. Capone was untouchable. He was the king of Chicago. His word was law, but even kings can fall. Omerta, the Mafia's code of silence. Silence. It was a word that carried weight, a word that could mean the difference between life and death. In the world of organized crime, silence was golden. It was more than just a virtue in the Mafia. It was a sacred oath, a binding contract that every member swore to uphold. To speak out was to betray not just the organization, but a way of life that had been passed down through generations. It was a way of life. A life where loyalty was paramount, and trust was earned through years of unwavering silence. In the dimly lit corners of Italian restaurants, whispers were exchanged, but secrets were kept. Omerta, the code of silence, bound them together. It was the glue that held the Mafia's intricate web of relationships intact. Deals were made with a handshake and promises were sealed with silence. To break it was to invite certain death. Informants were hunted relentlessly. Their families threatened, their lives destroyed. The Mafia's retribution was swift and merciless. No one was safe, not even the innocent. The Mafia's reach was long, their memories even longer. They never forgot a betrayal, and they never forgave. The shadow of the Mafia loomed large over cities, instilling fear in those who dared to defy them. But even Omerta had its limits. In the face of overwhelming pressure, even the most loyal could falter. The fear of death was powerful, but so was the fear of a life behind bars. Greed, ambition, and the fear of a long prison sentence could crack even the strongest resolve. The feds knew this, and they exploited it. They offered deals, protection, and a way out for those willing to break the code. And they waited patiently for someone to talk. They knew that eventually, someone would. The code of silence was strong, but it was not unbreakable. In the end, it was often the smallest crack that brought down the mightiest walls. Concrete shoes and broken promises enforcing loyalty. Loyalty was paramount. Betrayal was met with swift and brutal retribution. Concrete shoes, a one-way trip to the bottom of the river. A message sent, a warning to others. Disposing of bodies became an art form. Acid, shallow graves, the vast expanse of the ocean. The mafia cleaned up their messes, leaving no trace behind. But sometimes the most effective weapon wasn't violence. It was the threat of violence. A whispered word, a knowing glance. Fear was a powerful motivator. The Five Families, a city under siege. New York City, a melting pot of cultures and a battleground for the mafia. Five families emerged, vying for control of the city's criminal underworld. Bloodshed was inevitable. The five families, Gambino, Genovese, Lucchese, Bonanno, Colombo, each with their own territory, their own rackets. The construction industry, the waterfront, the garbage business, nothing was off limits. Wars erupted, leaving a trail of bodies in their wake. Innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. The mafia's grip on the city tightened, their influence spreading like a cancer. Casino skimming, a river of dirty money. Las Vegas, the city of sin, a beacon for high rollers and degenerate gamblers. The mafia saw an opportunity, a chance to launder their dirty money. Casinos became their playground. They skimmed profits from the top, funneling millions of dollars into their coffers. The house always wins, they said. And for the mafia, it always did. But greed is a powerful drug. The feds were watching, their patience wearing thin. The walls were closing in on the mafia's lucrative casino empire. The FBI strikes back, witness protection. The FBI had a new weapon in their arsenal, the Witness Protection Program. Turn states' evidence, and a new life awaited. A chance to escape the mafia's reach. It was a risky proposition. The mafia had eyes and ears everywhere, but for some it was the only way out. A chance to break free from the cycle of violence. The mafia's code of silence was cracking. The feds were listening, and they were coming for them. Turning on their own, the cost of betrayal. The mafia was built on trust, but trust was a fragile thing, easily broken. When the feds started offering deals, loyalties were tested. Friends became enemies overnight. Salvatore Sammy the Bull Gravano, John Gotti's right-hand man. He turned state's evidence, sending shockwaves through the underworld. Gotti, the Teflon Don, finally faced justice. Betrayal was the ultimate sin. It cut deep, leaving scars that never healed. The mafia was imploding, consumed by paranoia and distrust. The Teflon Don John Gotti and the media spotlight. John Gotti, the dapper Don. He craved the spotlight, relished the attention. He saw himself as a modern-day Robin Hood, a man of the people. The media ate it up. Gotti's reign was short-lived. His arrogance, his flamboyance proved to be his downfall. The feds were watching, listening to every word. Gotti's conviction marked a turning point. The mafia was no longer untouchable. Their days of operating with impunity were coming to an end. From pizza parlors to Wall Street, the mafia's evolving grip. The mafia adapted, they diversified their operations, infiltrating legitimate businesses. Pizza parlors, construction companies, even Wall Street. Their tentacles reached everywhere. The internet offered new opportunities: online gambling, credit card fraud, identity theft. The mafia embraced technology, using it to their advantage. They were more sophisticated, more difficult to track, but the feds were evolving too, using new tools and techniques to combat organized crime. The mafia's legacy: organized crime in the 21st century. The world of organized crime has evolved dramatically over the decades, but its dark allure and dangerous influence remain ever present. The mafia is not what it once was. Once the undisputed kings of the underworld, their power has waned due to relentless law enforcement efforts and internal conflicts. Years of prosecutions, internal strife, and changing social attitudes have taken their toll. High-profile trials and convictions have dismantled many of the old guard, but the spirit of organized crime adapts and persists. But they haven't disappeared entirely. In the shadows, new players and old alliances continue to operate, finding innovative ways to evade the law and maintain their grip on illicit activities. Organized crime is a global enterprise. Russian mobsters, Chinese triads, and Latin American cartels have emerged as major players. These groups have expanded their reach, leveraging technology and globalization to enhance their operations. Russian mobsters, with their ruthless efficiency, Chinese triads with their deep-rooted traditions, and Latin American cartels with their vast networks have all become formidable forces in the world of organized crime. The game has changed, but the stakes remain the same: power, money, and survival. These criminal organizations are driven by the same desires that fueled the mafia's rise to power: control, wealth, and the ability to operate above the law. The mafia's legacy is one of violence, corruption, and betrayal. Their history is marked by brutal power struggles, the corruption of public officials, and the inevitable betrayals that come with a life of crime. It's a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most powerful empires can crumble. The once mighty mafia families have seen their empires fall, their strongholds abandoned, and their influence wane. The fight against organized crime continues, a never-ending battle against those who seek to profit from the shadows. Law enforcement agencies around the world remain vigilant, constantly adapting their strategies to combat the ever-evolving threat of organized crime. The struggle is ongoing, and the stakes are higher than ever.